Hey guys, welcome to my channel, Realm of Ori. In this video, we will continue with Volume 13, Chapter 3, Labyrinth Siege, Part 4. And before we start, this video contains spoilers from the anime and manga series. And by the way guys, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click on the bell icon to get notifications for upcoming videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. At the entrance of the underground maze, soldiers from the Imperial Army were drawn in one after another. This maze is basically some kind of trickery for kids. The problem is the magical creatures that inhabit it. According to the research they've done beforehand, the 60th floor is the bottom floor, but that's not necessarily true. It was said that the labyrinth had so many layers of 100, but he didn't think it made sense. In any case, if you can identify the type of magic creature, you will be able to find the proper way to dispose of it. It would be more efficient to hunt that way too. Over time, however, abnormal changes began to appear. When about 1,000 or so soldiers entered the maze, communication between the two sides was suddenly broken. My lord, how can this be? What happened to those soldiers? Information obtained in advance mentions this, saying that sometimes the structure of the maze can change. But I've heard it only happens every 24 hours. No, that's not right. By this time Calgurio was alert. I get it. The enemy seemed happy to see us in, too. What does that say? It's obvious. If the labyrinth is overcrowded, they probably won't do well. Going down that staircase doesn't lead to the second basement level, I'm afraid it connects to another level. What? How could such a thing happen? Of course it's possible. The opponent is at least a demon lord. If they couldn't do even that little thing in their own territory, they would have been destroyed long ago. Calgurio accurately predicted what would happen in the maze. Also, when it was just over 1,000 people, contact was suddenly broken. What do you think that means? I see, Your Excellency is aware of this, I am afraid. If the invasion was interrupted at this time, the 2,000 soldiers who had gone in would have lost their lives. Instead of doing that, it would be more effective to stick to the original plan and use that kind of man-see tactics. This is a threat to us. To get us to abandon the maze, they intend to buy time. That way they'll have a chance to wait for reinforcements from Diva Heights. Ridiculous. Even that Dwargon today. Exactly. To interrupt the operation here would be to call the enemy's will. Yes. Then let's get back to the maze battle. They pushed on day and night, and about 350,000 soldiers and generals invaded the maze without incident. Blame them for trying to suck up customers with a maze, only to have one head and two tails in a sudden situation. They are too stupid. In this way, at first, Calgurio thought that the Demon Lord Rimuru's gang were all fools, but after a whole day, they decided to watch the situation for the time being. The total number of people who have broken into the maze is 350,000, right? Yes, half of our army has invaded the maze. Although almost every full 1,000 people were disconnected, that was as Calgurio had predicted. After a while, someone reported that they had found the soldiers who had entered the maze earlier. As a result, half of the general's soldiers entered the labyrinth right now, but so many people were sent, and it still wasn't enough to fill the maze. I didn't realize it was so vast, that's what I heard. Thought we'd be able to suppress the whole maze in a little while. No one has come out yet, have they? Yes. It seems that in order to get out of there, we have to break through the maze first. Then I've heard that during the invasion, someone in every soldier's head was asking questions of them, right? Exactly. However, although the conditions are clear, it seems that before defeating the Labyrinth King, the Guardians of the 10 Keys need to be crushed first. So that's it, then we haven't crushed them yet? Then, 2 more days passed. Why doesn't anyone return the favor after that? Since every 1,000 people are put in different places, there's no way to find the forces that invade the depths of the maze again. What? The maze is this big? I don't think. What? It's not all gone. You fools, are you afraid? Everybody calm down. I'm afraid these are all tactics of the Demon Lord Rimuru. His purpose is to make us suspicious and give up on the maze. Wouldn't it be wise to hold on to your strength now? We also send supply troops into the labyrinth to extend the activity limits of the general's soldiers. Shouldn't it take at least 20 days to observe the situation? That's so negative. But we still can't reach Lieutenant General Geist or Major General Faraga. Are they still tangling with the enemy, or are they? They have sent out spy troops several times, but none have returned. There has been no contact with reliable friendly forces. That's because of the high concentration of magicules. There could be no other reason. It would be bad if morale continued to be low. Based on that judgment, he would say that. In an unspeakably eerie silence, the soldiers of the Imperial Army general had an ominous feeling of foreboding. Maybe I made a big mistake. The gate was towering. Nowadays it seems that the door was very eerie and fueled the unease in Calgurio's mind. What will be the fate of the Labyrinth's challengers in this door? It wouldn't be long before Calgurio would know where they were headed. 41st through 48th floors. Those Imperial general soldiers who entered the Labyrinth, because of the different floors they entered, had fates that were vastly different from each other. One who is put on the 41st to 48th floor can be said to be lucky. But the 49th layer doesn't start out that easy. Halfway through the break, slimes fell from the ceiling. As soon as the corner was turned, the squad was cut off and wiped out. The walls are made of slime, and the floor is slime. Weapons and defenses were destroyed and the soldiers' physical strength was taken from them. And coming to the 50th floor, they saw hordes of the wounded. He was looking at the giant snake that stood in front of him and wouldn't let anyone pass. It's a Tempest snake. With that, the Imperial Army reorganized its forces here. The next thing you know, they're in an even worse hell. 50 to 60th floors of the maze. The 51st floor has a large area of modern access. The Imperials seem to have mastered this one floor, and soldiers could be seen around every corner. The scene can be seen to leave traces of fierce fighting, and one can imagine that this floor is also tricky. There's the red slime, the golden skeleton swordsman, the ghost of death, the monster moving armor that looks like a heavily armored knight, and the small, powerful dragon wraith. Those dreaded monsters seem to be lurking in this area of the floor. The general soldiers of the Imperial Army gradually went down. Not knowing that going any further was their demise, the whole team pushed forward without interruption, continuously. The maze at the 61st to 70th floors. There is a gate on the 70 level. It leads to the city of the dead, the border between the world and the living. Advancing amidst a mass of demons, the soldiers of the Imperial Army strutted through the maze. The problem is on the 70th floor. They began to attack the gate, which opened soundlessly before them. Then the horrifying-looking King of the Dead appears. Welcome to my land of the dead. My name is Adelman, the Immortal King. The party is all set. Let's just have a good time. So, here we go. Following this king are a group of necromancers, as well as the dead but still brave necromancer dragon. This dragon of death let out an evil roar that felt like it was going to overwhelm the entire space. The corrosive spray of the death dragon poured down from high in the air, bathing those crawling on the ground. As a result, most of them were unable to resist and ended up losing their lives. And they turn into walkers, obeying the orders of higher-order magical creatures. The Imperial Army's numbers plummeted in an instant, and 10,000 were wiped out in less than an hour. After the next day, there were several times when the Imperial Army wanted to try to rush into the 70 levels. But every time, they lose miserably. The next two fights, the second and third, were all with the same result, and things didn't get any better at all. They gathered these men from among the existing fighting forces and deployed them in various units. The army was in full formation in the hilly terrain, bringing the total number to 70,000. In contrast, Adelman's men were still less than 40,000, even counting the increased number of walkers over the past few days. Then the showdown begins. The king takes action. You guys think too much. The holy reversal. This defeat broke the spirits of the Imperial general's soldiers. The survivors were pushed to the breaking point and started running towards the upper floors. Simply forget about the maze's breakthrough conditions. All that remains in the mind is the desire to survive, just to live. The 71st to 79th levels of the maze. Walking into this floor, the Imperials were forced to engage in a never-ending battle with an entire swarm of insects. The insects launched a fierce attack that went on and on and on. Fearing no death, they repeatedly attacked, a whole group showing absolutely no signs of interruption. The day of waiting was worth it. Because there was a lot of prey gathered around and made a point of running over themselves. Thank you for your hard work. Just die for us and become fodder. The Imperial general soldiers gathered on this floor were all killed, and it took less than 10 minutes to go back and forth. And lastly, some foolish and pathetic sacrifices came to the guardian of the 90th floor, the nine-tailed beast, Kumara. These people were nothing more than fodder to Kumara. More dead people appeared in the maze. Immediately following, a few days passed when the Imperial Army's 53,000 soldiers stormed the maze. The survivors in the labyrinth go to 0.